Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Welcome to another Southern California Prep Insider Baseball podcast. Tommy and Les here. Les, how was your week this week?
Hey, man, busy week. I got out to see a lot of games. Excited to get talking about them here.
All right, we'll start like we always do with the top 10s. What do you have?
First off, Sherman Oaks, Notre Dame moves into the top spot after a little bit of a rough week for El Toro. The Knights are just rolling right along, 9-0 on the season. Follow them up, number 2 with Huntington Beach. Again, Huntington Beach is yet to lose to a Southern Section team. Number 3 is El Toro. They've hit a little bit of a rough patch here. They've lost 2 of their last 3, including a tie. So they haven't won a game in a bit. Number 4 is La Mirada. They're rolling right along. Big doubleheader sweep over Lakewood last week. Number 5, Harvard Westlake. Number 6, Etiwanda cracking the top 10 after a big doubleheader sweep over Norco, who checks in at number 7. Norco was 8-0 before that doubleheader loss to Etiwanda. Checking in number 8 is Ayala. Number 9 is Servite out of the Tough Trinity League. And rounding out the top 10 is Mission Viejo. They got a big win over El Toro last Friday.
So 2 of the big moves I want to ask you about. First of all, we've got El Toro moving down to 3. And then we got Etiwanda coming into the top 10, not just coming in, but coming in at 6. So of those 2 teams, which do you think is most likely to stay there? El Toro at 3 or Etiwanda is staying there around the 6 area?
Yeah, I was able to see El Toro last week against Mission Viejo. They've got some really nice players, but they just hit a little bit of a rough patch. They start off really hot. They got a tie there against Bishop Amat last week, and then they lost to Mission Viejo, and then got shut out by Gar on Saturday. Etiwanda is one of those teams, man. They're just sneaky good. Coach Fernal's got that thing rolling over there, and they've got some really nice players. I think Etiwanda, we can expect to see them stay about where they are, if not climbing a little bit.
And I will say this too, if we cross sports a little bit, Etiwanda and basketball, very similar. They were kind of on people's radar, not really. Ended up the season being one of the top 10s of the Southern Section. So, maybe it's just a product where they are, in the county, but doing good things out there in Etiwanda. So now it's time to move on to our players from last week to watch. I'm going to start with future UCLA Bruin Cole Roederer with 3 home runs in 3 consecutive games for Hart. Then we've got Brian Regan from Chadwick. He is 10 of 11 in his last 3 games, and 3 of those hits were doubles. 1 was a triple, so that slugging percentage is out of control. Then we've got South's Kevin Ishimiru, who started 4 games so far this year, has not given up an earned run, 9.75 strikeouts average per outing. He threw over 7 innings in a 1-0 win over California, so this kid's been all over the place on the mound. And then Alhambra's Benny Eluguin, who is, I'm mispronouncing your name, Benny, I'm sorry. He threw a 10K no-hitter, and then he followed that up with a 10K one-hitter, and that's for Alhambra. So some impressive performances on the mound last week.
Yeah, no doubt. You talk about South's pitcher there averaging darn near 10 strikeouts a game. I don't care what level you're playing at. You're doing that. You're doing something good. And then you talk about a 20 strikeout performance in back-to-back games, a no-hitter and a one-hitter. That's pretty darn impressive. One guy I wanted to give a shout-out to is Jake Spillane out of Mission Viejo, senior uncommitted right-handed pitcher, was really good against El Toro. Scattered about 7 hits there, but kept his team in the game. Took a no decision, but he was really good for them. And then you talk about Roederer. He's a guy that MLB scouts are talking about quite a bit for this year's draft coming up, and he's starting to show that power that they had anticipated was coming, but it looks like it's on its way, and we expect Roederer to climb some draft boards here this spring.
And I'll ask you a question about Spillane. The scattered hits, is that a product of luck or is that a product of skill? Is that one of those things guys get on base and you start to kind of nail down and start, really hitting the spots, or is that something just, kind of got lucky there?
With him, I think it's a product of skill, man. The way he moves his ball in and out, and his curveball is really, really good. Good 2-plane movement to it. He did a really good job of, again, El Toro's lineup is stacked. And he did just a really good job of keeping those guys off balance by mixing up his pitches. I think there was 2 scenarios where he gave up back-to-back hits, but other than that, it was he'd give up a hit, get a out, maybe walk a guy or get another out before giving up another hit. So again, he was really, really good in his 6 innings pitched.
And good to see he was not afraid of El Toro. Speaking of El Toro, we got to get to our game picks. First game we're going to pick is from Wednesday. It is El Toro going to San Clemente.
A rematch of the Loera tournament final from a couple weeks ago that El Toro won 2-0. Again, Chargers have been a little bit of a slump here, with the tie to Bishop Amat, a loss to Mission Viejo, and then a loss to Gar. San Clemente hasn't played in a while, right? I mean, they got a big matchup because of a rainout. They haven't played in a while. They got a big matchup against Cypress today. They're playing good baseball, got revenge on their mind, obviously. Plus, they're playing at home for the first time in a couple of weeks. Couple that with what I saw from El Toro on Friday. I'm actually going with San Clemente in this one.
Yeah, San Clemente's got a couple good hitters. Jeffrey B. with 2 home runs, 3 doubles, and a triple in just 7 games so far this year, the catcher. Charlie Laus with 2 home runs already also. But El Toro still is ranked number 25 in the country according to Max Preps. Yes, it took a little skid. I think they'll bounce back. I'm going to take El Toro on the road. I think this is where they turn things around. Next game we've got is Cerritos at La Mirada.
La Mirada, they're simply just a really good team. There are teams and then there are programs, and La Mirada is a program. They just seem to rebuild rather than reload. They got 3 legitimate D1 arms plus a few other guys that really know how to pitch. Coach Zern he's got to like his team's chances in every game. Cerrito comes in at 9-1. Most of the wins coming in blowout fashion. I certainly don't expect that to happen here. The Dons are playing with a lot of confidence, though. This being the league opener for both teams, anything can happen. I just think La Mirada has too much offensively and on the mound, so I'm going to go with the Matadors here.
I agree with you here. I'm going to take La Mirada. Sophomore Jared Jones, again, 9 games. Take it with a grain of salt, but already slugging .933 with 2 home runs. Encouraging to see power numbers from a young kid like that, so I'm going to take La Mirada. Next, we're going to go to Thursday. It's Murrieta Valley versus Temecula Valley.
Murrieta Valley is a team that nobody's really talking about, and if you follow them on Twitter, you know that they like to keep it that way. Nighthawks are cruising right along at 7-0 and have beaten some really good teams from San Diego down in the Pirate Classic the last couple of weeks. They got a tough game against a tough Chaparral team here before this game, and Temecula Valley is no slouch. They've overcome a lot this year with some vandalism that took place at their field, and their clubhouse got messed up, and their drag cart got jacked up, and it's just those sorts of things really seem to bring a team together. I've maintained that the Southwestern League is one of the best in the region, and those 2 teams should be at the top of the standings at the end. But I'm going with Temecula Valley with this. I just think that they've got a lot of things going on right now that's really brought that team closer together.
I think we're going to split on this one then, too. I'm going to take Murrieta Valley, a kid I want to mention, Isaac Rodriguez, a freshman already committed to USC. Heck of a player, and that whole league's going to be stuck with him for 4 years. So good luck to everybody else dealing with him. Christopher Gilmartin and Drew DeArmor, tough on the mound. I don't know who they're going to face because, again, it's tough with baseball, no rotations, but they're going to have someone good on the mound no matter who it is. Next, we got Laguna Hills traveling to Dana Hills.
Laguna Hills has been a tad inconsistent so far this season outside of junior Caden Ahern, who's hitting .333 for the Hawks. The starting pitching has just been okay outside of senior Cameron Watts, who sporting a 2.15 ERA. For Dana Hills, it looks like Tom Ferris is trying to find the right combination on the mound in the lineup. 10 players have seen time on the mound, and 19 players are registered at bat so far this year for the Dolphins. In a game like this, where both teams are still trying to find their identity, I usually give the nod to the more experienced team. So we'll go with Laguna Hills on this one, despite having to go on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. I'm going to go with Laguna Hills. Dana Hills has some big shoes to fill on the mound. And so far, like you said, they're kind of trying mixing and matching for this year, but they haven't quite figured it out yet. I think towards the end of the year it'll be fine, but right now they're kind of in a who's on the mound type situation. Last game, it's a Friday game. It's Capistrano Valley going to Mission Viejo.
Mission Viejo, again, coming off that big win over El Toro last Friday where Jake Spillane was really good. His brother Luke was a star offensively, 3 for 3, a couple runs scored. He's a UC Irvine commit. Diablos may not have the superstars of years past, but they're very good. They're always well coached and tend to not beat themselves. Capital Valley comes in with some momentum, but the schedule is going to be their challenge this week. They got 2 games lined up with Aliso Niguel, plus a game with Cypress. The Cougars have a lot of talent. They have 9 or 10 college commits on their roster, and they can hit. Where they've separated themselves is on the mound, coming in with a team ERA of under 1. Defense has been a little bit of an issue for them. Since their opening doubleheader against Edison. This is a big step up in competition this week. I just think the schedule, if they get them all in due to weather, is going to be a lot to overcome for them. So I'm going to go with Mission Viejo in this one.
I will too. I got to see Capital Valley play against Tustin. They beat them 5-2. Looked really impressive there. But like you said, schedule's pretty rough. They got to play Aliso Niguel twice, and they get 1 off day. Then they got Mission Viejo. So if they have to burn all the arms in those first 2 games, not going to be easy against the Diablos. So that's all we got so far for this week in baseball. Les, anything else you want to add?
I just want to take a look at us on PrepBaseballReport.com. Follow us on Twitter at PBR_California. Glad to be a part of this with you, Tommy.
All right, cool. We'll see you all next week with some more baseball.